radio signal come in and just bounce all over the place? Or,
Yeah.
I mean, what went on there?
Yeah, that is very, very interesting. Now, did you catch anything on the camcorders?
No, we didn't. We have yet to capture anything that we consider video evidence. I mean, yes, we've had the orbs, and you'll find I'm not a fan of the orb. I say it's a case of mistaken identity
Mm-hmm.
when you start talking about orbs. I mean, it's too iffy when you really get to them. So most of the times we just throw anything like that out. We did get one still picture of something that was orb-like and was very different from all the others. But for the most part, everything else orb goes out. But, video evidence, nothing, yet over the years of any, apparition appearing or anything along those lines.
Interesting. I don't know what to think about those orbs either myself. I mean, when you see pictures and it looks like dust or just particles floating around in the air. But I will say, one time I went to D.C. and I was walking around Arlington Cemetery and came across JFK's grave. And it was pouring rain, which will tell, and I'm kicking myself for even saying it, but I have to, because I'm sure all the skeptics will say, aha, it's a raindrop, it's a raindrop. Well,
Yep.
here's the weird thing. I took probably 40, 50 photographs at Arlington in the pouring rain. Not a single orb in any of them except one. And it was when I took a picture of the grave, I'm sorry, of the flame. And it was I'm sorry, I took two pictures back to back. I want to make sure I have this right. Took one of the flame, and then there's a facility in the background, which I'm not entirely sure, and I'll probably mess it up if I try and remember exactly what this building is. But those of you who've been to Arlington, you know what I'm talking about. So please write in because I'm drawing a blank. But I took a picture of that building, and so in essence, I was shooting over JFK's grave and the flame, and shooting this building, and there was this huge orange orb in the bottom right hand corner of the picture. Now, I tried to think that it was the flame, but the way that the flame wasn't even near it, and it was flames wouldn't reflect like that. I tried to figure out anything. I got tons of letters about it. I posted it online. I believe it's still in the image gallery. So anyway, that's my long, boring story about orbs. That made me second guess, like, maybe there is something to this. So who knows? But you're in the mindset that they're not really anything of interest. Is that
Well,
right?
well, I think for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
I believe there is something to them, but I think for the most part, I mean, you go to so many, paranormal research groups, go to their website, and they've got orb pictures posted all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's an overload. I think that many of these are, they're misidentified. That it is dust, it's moisture, it's a bug. Because there's too much of it. I think, and a lot of these we've even recreated ourselves. Go in and just rub the carpet like crazy and take a picture, and all of a sudden you've got a bunch of orbs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it can be debunked. I mean, that's the thing. It's a very controversial topic because of it can be easily recreated. The pictures are all over the place, and it's kind of one of those borderline things of okay, is something really there, or are we just having a bunch of pictures of dust?
Yeah, and I tend to agree with you despite my fun story at Arlington. When I was actually lecturing at James Gilliland's ranch up in Washington State, we did an experiment late at night around the campfire, and we were taking some pictures, and in a couple of them we got orbs, and a lot of people were excited about it. So me and another young investigator that was there, he and I went a little bit away from the campfire, took a bunch of pictures, no orbs, and then he ran around like a madman in a circle, kicking up dust, which was kind of a funny scene in itself. But then we took a few more pictures, and of course there were orbs everywhere, and it looks exactly like some of those pictures. So I do tend to agree with you. Let me ask you, what is out of your investigations? What are the biggest signs of evidence that you can't dispute, that you can't argue, that either you have maybe picked up in your investigations or maybe elsewhere that you've read about or heard about? What really sticks out to you?
Well, to me, it's the EVPs. I mean, that is just something that amazes me. And I mean, how in the world do you explain it? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, yeah, you can give a bunch of theories. The rogue wave radio signals, even somebody projecting it themselves. You want to hear something, so you kind of the power of the mind. We don't understand the full power of the mind, and maybe we are projecting voices ourselves. But you know for sure that you were, say, the only one in the room, and here you are, you're a male and you've got a female voice. How do you explain that?
Yeah, you can't.
That it's very hard to, and the more we get some just very interesting, EVPs, the more you scratch your head and say, how, what in the world is going on there, and how do you even prove what is going on there?
Have you ever had a moment in an investigation that just made you stop and maybe the hairs on the back of your neck stood up? Is there another investigation, or have you kind of gone through those already?
Well, no, I've never really had anything that, say, gave me a chill during an investigation or, maybe frightened me a little bit. Because we've never had anything just crazy happen, I guess is the best way to put it. We've had some interesting noises take place, and, of course, the EVPs, you go back and listen to them, give you that chill. But nothing really, that says, wow, what in the world just happened there? Nothing like that yet.
I see. Now, do you find a common thread through some of your investigation sites? Because obviously you get phone calls or you get letters from people saying, hey, my house is haunted, or this building that I work at is haunted. Do you see that most of the buildings are older, or they're maybe newer, or are they, in investigating, you find out that they're built on a Indian burial ground? I mean, is there some kind of common thread that you see? Or can these hauntings and encounters with spirits really take place anywhere?
Well, I feel they can take place anywhere, and they do, but for the most part, I think you really get into a history of the location. And a lot of times it does seem to be older buildings that have a lot of emotion or energy tied to it, if you want to put it like that. Because that's most of the locations we've been to. And, that history may be, bad, or it may just be that there was a lot of even positive energy there can create a haunting as well. I mean, it may not, be one that taunts somebody. It may just be they hear voices and noises. So it seems more, for us that which is one of the things we always try to dig into when we go to a location, is the history. Who's lived there? What's happened there, in the past in this location.
Of the EVPs that you've recorded and the investigations that you have done, do you find that there's more negative energies or positive energies, or really is it just indifferent? They're just energies?
Well, we've, especially with EVPs, like I said, the only ones we consider negative, were those two that go away and then you'll be next. Other than that, we've just had interactions with the conversation, or just an answer to a question, and nothing seemed to have any kind of negativity to it. So, I that's, again, you're getting into, is there positive and negative energies out there, or, angels, demons, that, that whole kind of controversy back and forth on what exactly happens to a person when they turn into spirit. If they're a bad person, are they an evil spirit, or do they turn into good? So, for us, for the most part, we've seemed to got more along the lines of positive stuff than negative.
Let me ask you, if you don't mind me getting a little bit personal, is there a religious aspect to this?
No, I wouldn't really say not a religious aspect, because I've always had a belief in a higher power, and that we weren't a freak accident. I think it's more of curiosity and just that amazement of the things that we don't know that are out there. I mean, there's so much that is out there that we have no clue about, and I think this is definitely one of the ones that are on the top of that list when you get into the paranormal, because it's so hard to bring forth concrete evidence. You just continue with more theories. That's all that really keeps happening. And I think it's that curiosity of what is really going on, and with a haunting or a UFO sighting or a Bigfoot sighting, what is the real answer to that?
And the reason I bring that up and ask that is because what really comes to my mind, I don't know what to believe behind all of this. I've never seen anything that was just 100% confirmed in my mind, although I have had some interesting stories to tell, and some interesting encounters with my girlfriend, which I just mentioned earlier this week on the Black Vault Radio with John Nowinski at the Whaley House in San Diego. And the reason I ask is because I'm wondering if these spirits are trapped here, or if you have any thoughts on that. If they're here for a reason, is this just kind of maybe what's the word I'm looking for? The term I'm looking for, that they're just kind of here until they pass on to another life, or I'm just kind of curious if you think that they need help passing on, because I know that there's some investigators and researchers out there that believe that they need a helping hand to get to the other side. And so that's where I was going with that question. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've definitely heard of many cases where someone comes in, especially in terms of like psychic and mediums, that